Dear fellow scholars, this is a new episode with a special guest. Today we are going to look at the important ethical AI trends to watch in 2026. But first, let's quickly recap what happened in 2022. And then I will share my predictions for 2026. In 2022, we have seen large language models like GPT-3 and ChatGPT emerge and cause quite a sensation. Interestingly, the earlier OpenAI text-to-image generator DALL-E was not nearly as popular even though it was available earlier. Why do you think this was the case? What changed? I think by the time DALL-E came out, people were not yet so surprised to see an AI create something new from a text prompt. Because by that time, we had seen image generators like DALL-E 2 or Jasper and Midjourney already. So our surprise that an AI can create images from a piece of text had somewhat worn off. However, when ChatGPT arrived, it was clear that things are different. For one, the interface was just so much friendlier. They really put a lot of thought into making this easy to use. And also, it was not just another image generator. No sir, this is a general-purpose tool that can help with anything from writing code to answering your questions or helping you come up with creative ideas. It is a true general-purpose tool. And I think this is why it caused such a stir. Now, some people thought that this is the end of humanity. That's not what happened, at least not in 2022. Some others said that their work will become obsolete because soon robots will take over everything. Well, perhaps this too is not quite what happened. Yet others started thinking about how we should move forward from here in a responsible manner. And I am happy to say that this group is winning. I am happy to see that more and more people understand that the pace of progress in AI is quick, and we need to consider what kind of world we want to live in once these systems become even more capable. So what did happen in 2022 then? Well, for one, AI ethics became a hot topic in the news. And I think this is a good thing. People started talking about how these tools could potentially help us and also what are the problems we need to solve along the way. We are now at a point where AI has become so capable that we must ask ourselves what kind of a world we want to live in once these tools become ubiquitous. In other words, we can no longer afford to outsource our ethics to technology. Ethics must be coded into these systems. But who decides what that code is? Is it done by engineers alone, or should we involve others? I am happy to see that there is an increasing number of voices that advocate for involving ethicists and social scientists into the design process of these systems. This is good news. Another positive trend we have seen is that many organizations set up internal AI ethics boards. And these are groups of people tasked with making sure that the research done within these companies does not just push the state-of-the-art further and further, but that they also keep an eye out for potential harm and misuse of the technology. I am very happy to see this trend emerge. And finally, we are starting to see guidelines for trustworthy AI systems emerge. For instance, the European Union has published guidelines for developers to follow. They list a set of principles and best practices for developing AI systems. Now, these are not laws, they are not regulations, but rather a set of recommendations. And if we look at them, we see 7 key requirements for these systems. They need to be legal and human rights compliant, non-discriminatory, respect privacy, be safe and secure, built to last, transparent and accountable. I think this is a great start, and I am very happy that we are seeing these kinds of documents being created. However, the question remains, who will ensure that these principles are respected? And for that reason, I believe we will see an increase in the number of AI ethics audits. Yes, similar to how we have security audits today, we will also have AI ethics audits in the future where an external team comes in to check if the guidelines have been respected or not. I believe this trend will only grow in the future. Now, how will all this affect the pace of AI progress? I don't think it will slow it down. In fact, I think it will make the progress more robust and ultimately lead to better technology for all of us. However, we are still in the early days, and thus there are some challenges ahead of us. So what can we expect in 2026? Let me share 3 trends to watch. The first trend to watch is that we will see more and more small specialized AI startups emerge. For instance, we are now starting to see AI-based companies pop up for very specific tasks such as detecting mental health issues earlier through writing or detecting fake news and misinformation. And since these companies build their AI for a very specific purpose, they can often build highly performant solutions. And even if large language models are quite capable today, I believe there will be a growing demand for these smaller but more specialized models in the future. After all, large general-purpose models are not always the right choice. For instance, in healthcare, data privacy is of utmost importance, and for that reason, a smaller model that is trained on your local data might be a better solution than a general-purpose model that is trained on everyone's data. These smaller models are also more interpretable, meaning that we can look under the hood and see how the model came up with its suggestions. And this is another advantage, especially in domains where we need to understand why a certain suggestion was made. This trend will also be driven by new hardware that is specifically designed for running these smaller models. Today, we mostly run these models on general-purpose hardware like CPUs or GPUs. However, in the near future, we will see new hardware emerge that is specifically designed to run these smaller models, which will also make them more efficient and cheaper to run. So I believe that we will see an explosion of AI startups in the coming years. The second trend to watch is that we will see more AI startups get acquired by larger companies. Just like how the smartphone industry looked 10 years ago, where we had a bunch of small players and then a couple of big ones, the AI space will start to consolidate as well. And the big ones will eat up the small ones. The big ones have the money and the distribution channels to outcompete the smaller players and bring the technology to a broader audience. And I believe that this is a good thing. Large companies can help these technologies reach more people. And finally, trend number 3, and this is perhaps the most important one. Trend number 3 is that I believe that AI assistants will become deeply embedded into our society. Just like how we have Siri or Google Assistant on our phones today. But these will become more and more personalized. For instance, I believe that each of us will have an assistant that keeps track of our papers, our emails, schedules, and meetings, helps us draft messages, summarizes long-to-read documents for us, and so much more. And what is even more interesting is that these assistants will not just be helpful, I believe they will also become a part of our identity. How do I know that? Well, look around you. Look at how people decorate their phones or their cars. People like to express themselves, and I believe that in the era of AI assistants, people will start customizing their assistants to reflect who they are. Some will make theirs more professional, others will make them funny, and some will make them beautiful. And just like how we already have emojis to express ourselves, I believe we will soon have AI assistants that will help us express ourselves even better. I am excited about the future of AI, but I believe it is a future that we need to shape together. We need to work together to make sure that these powerful tools are used for good and that they help make our lives better. Thanks for watching and for your generous support, and I'll see you next time.